Israel National Radio's senior broadcaster, Walter Bingham.
Hello and welcome.
At 98, Walter Bingham is a marvel. From Holocaust survivor to World War II hero to a journalist for 50 years, Bingham has experienced a lot.
So first of all, I think people would want to know, you're 98 years old. How did you do it?
Well, if I want to be facetious, I'm just saying, look, sit down, hold on to your chair. I don't eat garlic. I run a mile from garlic. But the actual fact is that I am blessed with good genes from the good Lord.
Guinness World Records has deemed Walter both the oldest radio talk show host living and the oldest journalist, an honor also recognized by Israel's government press office.
You are the oldest active news correspondent in the world.
Life, however, hasn't always been about honors for Bingham. In his Jerusalem apartment, he keeps reminders of the dark days of his youth. Born in 1924, Bingham was 15 years old when Adolf Hitler started what became known as the Holocaust. On his bookshelf, he keeps a copy of the Nazi leader's infamous autobiography, Mein Kampf, written in the year of Bingham's birth. In it, Hitler details his final solution to exterminate the Jews. This copy came from a Nazi office after the war.
Your life has spanned so many events in history. One of them is the Holocaust. But what happened to you in the early 1930s? You were witness to the infamous book burnings.
Yes, we used to go to the park as boys and play there. And one day they had the book burning, and we saw it, and people were throwing books on the fire, German culture onto the fire.
And you were also there at Kristallnacht.
Yeah, Kristallnacht was in 1938. One day I saw that things were a bit of a commotion in the streets, and then I got nearer and actually saw that synagogue in a town called Mannheim burning. And the fire service was there, but not to douse the flames of the synagogue, but to cool down neighboring property, German property that it shouldn't burn.
Kristallnacht marked the beginning of Hitler's final solution, and those who lived through it are Holocaust survivors. Within months, Bingham's mother put him on the so-called Kindertransport, a rescue effort by the British to evacuate some 10,000 Jewish children by train to Great Britain.
It was 5 minutes before war. Everybody knew the war would break out, and the parents took the children to the train.
5 years later, Bingham joined the British Army.
It wasn't my country, but my motivation and that of other Jewish refugee soldiers was much greater, because we didn't fight for, we fought against the Nazis. My motivation was find the family, get rid of the Nazi regime.
2 days after D-Day, Bingham landed on the beaches of Normandy and then drove an ambulance on the battlefields of Europe, eventually receiving a medal for bravery and commendation from the king.
I never killed anybody. I only saved lives.
As the war ended, Bingham was transferred to counterintelligence in Hamburg, Germany. There he interviewed Nazis arrested by the British, among them Joachim von Ribbentrop, the Nazi foreign minister.
And they brought him into my office, and I said, Herr Ribbentrop, what can you tell me about the final solution? And he looked me in the face and he said, I didn't know anything about that. That was the Führer. And I said, so now I take it that you heard about that. How did you find out? And he turned to me and he said, I read it in the newspaper.
After the war, Bingham was one of the few Kindertransport children reunited with at least one parent, his mother.
My mother went through the camps and came out alive, and I was reunited with her. That was, of course, the most emotional moment of my life. The second most emotional moment in my life was when I came here with my plane. I was on my way to Eilat, and I asked the controller if it's okay to do some orbits above Jerusalem. And there I was, above the city, seeing everything. All my life, as a religious Jew, in every prayer, Jerusalem. And here I was, sitting over Jerusalem, crying like a baby, tears streaming down my cheeks, and having to fly this plane.
Bingham says the best thing he ever did in his life was to get married and have a family. And the second best was to move to Israel. In 2004, at the height of the Second Intifada, 80-year-old Bingham immigrated to Israel and continued working as a journalist. Before COVID, Bingham would share his experiences with groups of students and others. He would bring a small suitcase packed with remnants of that Nazi era.
This is the sign of the Hitler Youth. Now that is there that you can really stick it in. And this is Blut und Ehre, blood and honor. And that's what the 14-year-olds and 13-year-olds carried.
So are you concerned that what's happening in the world today is what was happening?
Oh, I've no doubt. We're living in equal period of the 1930s, except there will be no final solution because we have the State of Israel. But everything leading up to it and all the atrocities and all the attacks and all those things that you read about, all that is a copy of the 1930s. And our local friends here are copying what the Nazis did.
What's the lesson that people need to take away?
Never again. Just 2 words. Never again. Unfortunately, people don't learn.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.